Welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me, as always, is our vaccinated vortex of velocity, Bethany McChesney, and the uninterviewable Mik Gerylo. There you go. And we'll just go right into it. All right. So there's a whole lot of stuff to talk about. This was going to be like our year-end show where we talk about stuff that happened in the year. And we probably will still do a little of that, but a lot of shit's happening. So I think the first thing we'll start off with is, and since I mentioned the vax thing, is High Rocks requiring for Chicago people to be fully vaccinated and kind of all that stuff. And just kind of the quick, I guess, what are you guys' thoughts on that? What are you guys' thoughts on that? Does it surprise you? Do you think it'll affect attendance? Anything like that?
Well, it didn't surprise me at all, but I guess being in Ontario right now, asking people to show proof of vaccination is everywhere. You can't go to a restaurant, you can't go into a gym. So to me, it wasn't a shock at all.
Fairness, you can't go and do any of those things with vaccinations even now.
Well, yeah, now you can't do anything. We're all equal now.
Yeah.
I think obviously the decision, people are attacking the race, and I don't think that's necessarily always fair, right? You need to look at the entire situation, and sure, people are going to be verbal, people are not going to be verbal, and obviously, but it's a tough one because they probably were just told that this is what you need to host this event, and so there are two options where to host it with this rule or host it or just cancel it, right? So I'm sure the logistics of getting everything in place for it, it was better off to just go along with it. Yeah, you're never going to make everyone happy though.
And to back up what you say, it is my understanding that High Rocks only found out about that they were going to have to do this 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago. So they put out an announcement as quick as they could. It's not their call. It's they're being exactly what Mik said. They're being mandated to do so. So it is what it is. So don't give them flack. They're doing what they can to still hold the event. And they're the other
Dave,
partners.
you might have a few less athletes to compete against. So maybe you were the one that made this rule. I don't know. Maybe you're just trying to thin out the
trying to thin the field.
That's the true conspiracy.
I don't think it's gonna take away a lot of the top elites. I do know of one, and he said I was okay to say so, is that Ryan Kent will probably not be there because of this, which is very disappointing because obviously he was a big podium favorite, and you never know. Things could change. Maybe they decide they can, maybe if they're allowed, they can throw in a negative test thing. Who knows? I don't know. So I don't want to give up complete hope that he won't be there. But yeah, so that's disappointing. Other than that, I haven't heard back from anyone yet that has said that this has affected their attendance. So hopefully we still get a really good field, and this should be a great race. Questions about it were what is fully vaxxed, because that's how they worded it. Fully vaxxed means, as far as I've been told, either a double vaccination or the single dose of Johnson & Johnson. I think that's what it was when you could do the single dose for that. It doesn't mean you have to have your booster shots. And then masks are required inside, but not during the race. So,
I know when they first worded it, it sounded like it was going to be making them run the whole race with a mask on. That would have been. We would have seen some people pass out, I think, during a High Rocks event.
It didn't. That's why I'm like, let's get some clarification on that one. So
right.
Definitely we're okay to do that, and it should still be a fantastic event. It'll still be great. Really excited. Just don't shut the damn border down. All right, that's it. That's all I ask.
Dave needs to get down there and put his business on the table.
Right. And to puke on a Chicago floor. That's what we need to
do. First goal, 2020.
Yes. So in Bethany, so I already taunted Bethany with this. I have a list of registers, people who have registered, and Bethany is not on that list yet.
I'm still scared. I'll do it. I've been sick too, so I was gonna sign up and then I got sick, so I was like, oh, I should wait. I'll do it, Dave. Stop pressuring me.
We have time. Go ahead. We can wait.
I love it. Open up a second browser. Let's go.
Yeah. So on top of that, then we get the news dropped of Dave Castro. And I'm not sure, Mik, I'm not sure how much you follow CrossFit or whatever, but maybe Beth, why don't you lay out this story?
Yeah, so he's been chief operating officer for 15 years now. So he's kind of the guy that everybody loves to hate in CrossFit. So it's not surprising, but he's such a big character in the sport. And I think it's a sign that CrossFit is going to move into a certain direction that I think is really good for the sport. Because I think Dave Castro always added an element of drama that just isn't necessary for a sport that's already like things can go any way. So I think I didn't like the way he would throw in events that were just completely random and would make no sense. Like the one thing to me that I was like, when he threw in the 42-kilometer row at the beginning of the CrossFit Games a few years ago, I was like, I don't understand this at all. So stuff like that, or like not revealing events until like you're walking onto the field, that kind of stuff was all Dave Castro. And it just, to me, it just wasn't necessary. And that kind of was where I felt like, I think to move this sport to another level, that type of stuff within CrossFit is what kind of needs to go. And I'm assuming that's what they're looking for with letting him go.
Yeah. I also didn't like when you talk about secret reveals and stuff like that, what he did when they had the 2021 at the farm, and midway through the event revealing, oh no, it's twice as far.
Yeah.
Like, psych, we got you.
Turn around and do it again.
Yeah. So I didn't like some of his programming. I don't know much about him as a person or whatever. He could be the greatest guy in the world. I have no idea. I've never spoke with him. I don't know anything about him, but I agree with you. I think maybe it's time for a different direction. And I do know that when it came to like programming stuff, I really enjoyed the Rogue Invitational more than the CrossFit Games.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just my thing. The other thing that got me was the timing of this, as opposed to when CrossFit had all the controversy with the racist comments and all that stuff. And I thought, not that those were Dave's doing, that was somebody else, but I thought if they were going to clean house, that would have been the time they did it, not a year later.
Mm-hmm.
So that I found a little bit odd.
Yeah, maybe just trying not to change too many things at once, I guess.
The one thing that was interesting about it was oftentimes when you see these people, especially in big companies, big money involved, it's like, we've gone our separate ways. We've done this, we've done that. We've amicably decided Dave's going to move on to other avenues and stuff like this. This is like, no, Dave's fired. They would, apparently CrossFit wanted to do it that way all nice. And Castro's like, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, no, that's not what happened. So that's not what we're releasing.
Oh, wow.
So I guess a little bit bitter maybe, but I guess drama. See, he's still making drama.
Yeah, he loves it.
All right. So that's all. I just wanted to touch on a couple of those things, and then we get to the fun stuff. All right. So we got the information and about the North American Spartan series. So let's just go through. We'll go through the North American series first. We have information on the Canadian series first too. So North American Spartan series. The events are San Luis Obispo. Did I say that right? Did I actually get it right? California.
I think that's pretty close. Yeah.
SLO anyway. I know that. So
yeah,
that's a super March 13th. That's a Sunday. Then we have on May 15th, Big Bear Lake, California. That will be another super. Saturday, June 11th, and I'm not even going to attempt this. Oh my God. Ajusco? Ajusco, Mexico.
I don't think the S is like, I don't think you really pronounce the S, but maybe I've just heard someone say it like that.
You're a teacher, right? And Bethany, you were a teacher. So if anyone, I should be doing this wrong, you guys should know how to do it right.
You're asking a phys ed teacher to speak on English. It's like asking me to do math problems.
Anyway, so let's just say it's in Mexico. And
yes.
East. And like I said, that was Saturday, June 9th. Saturday, June 11th. Saturday, July 9th is Utah, a beast there. And then really important for us, Saturday, October 22nd is a beast at Blue Mountain, Canada. And I'm really excited about that because that means not only is it not like it was part of the Canadian series this year, this is part of the North American series. And I think that will make it even bigger than it was before. So I'll just right out of the gate with that. So Mik, we'll go with you. Your thoughts right off the bat about the series being a North American series, about these venues. Oh, and it's a 4 out of 5 is what it is. So your best
right.
5
you can skip one. Yeah. And that's good. Like it wouldn't be a North American championship if, let's say, they said it had to be 3 races, and so you could just do the US ones or something, right? And then that would be it. So I don't mind that, like allowing someone to eliminate one, or just on a weekend that doesn't work, that you're not eliminated from the series. Like that's, I think, a really good call to not make everyone go to it. And then in that, if you look at weeks between that picture that you sent, it's nice to kind of look at, but then it happened like when things got mixed up last year. Like you have 9 weeks in between the first and second one, which is a huge gap. And then you have 4 and 4 and then 15. So it's almost like we're going to be focused on the series, and then we're going to kind of, it'll be on the horizon for a while. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, the series is back on. The people doing series will care about it all around. But I think as like a general person who just likes a sport, it's going to be a bit of a weird schedule that way, in terms of like following along and then realizing it's happening again. Although I'm sure they're going to promote it like crazy, because this is a kind of a brand new thing and it's kind of a really cool concept. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Plus it looks like a lot of mountains. Like when I Google image Ajuko, it basically just shows volcanoes and mountains. And so you're adding that, and I'm assuming it's at a decent altitude. So you've got Big Bear, that, and Utah back to back as like potentially like pretty high altitude big mountain courses. So, and then Blue Mountain's no joke either.
No, you're going to rack a lot of vert up in this series.
Right. So it's nice they're starting with supers and whatever else. Would I have liked to see a little bit more balance in the course selections, but I think they chose good venues. But yeah, I mean, why didn't they put Red Deer on there? Come on, guys.
What about you guys
at all?
Well, and we're also looking at 3 beast courses, which again, now you're like kind of streamlining the athletes that are going to do really well. So now we're talking about like mountain races and beasts. So it's also going to be pretty specific to those type of races. It's a lot of travel when you're looking at, and I mean, I know it's a North American series, so you're going to expect to travel, but I'm just looking like between, and where we are too, like California twice, Mexico, and then at the very end we come back up here. Like that's going pretty far, 5 times in the year.
It is. It is true. Now I will say from Spartan's side of it, if you were previously doing you were doing the U.S. National Series last year, the travel's not going to be that much difference for this one. Right. And being we do know that Spartan is still very much a centrally U.S. dominated thing. That from their perspective, if you look at it, is say people in the, in the West Coast of the States kind of area, they're going to drop down to Mexico and they're going to do that. That's not as bad a trip. Whereas people in the Northeast, they'll come up to Blue Mountain because it's, again, not a very bad trip. So I think that's where they're going with that, which makes quite a bit of sense. And again, the one I do agree with you, where I'm kind of surprised not to see a sprint option in here at all. Whereas I was always hoping that it would be, you'd have to hit at least one of every distance, for that kind of thing. And because this is obviously scheduled to screw over VJ. I mean, just being. But yeah, but then that all said, again, I've been told though that money, as far as payouts, will be better than in previous years. So they're hoping, I think, by that to lure more elites and saying, hey, it's worth the travel because we're going to have some better payouts. And at least for the big top guns, it should be that way. I think they're going to be really good races.
They will. Yeah, for sure. I think, just looking at Blue Mountain, I mean, I wasn't there, but I know it was a very good venue and a good setup. So I think it'll be interesting to have a bit more hype around that race, even for just the open wave and stuff, to see a little bit more diverse, like elite field and just like in general, probably more. So, and it's the last race of the series. So potentially could have some like big kind of switches depending on who finishes where. So that'll be cool to have up here.
Yeah, from a selfish perspective, exactly. It makes blue even more spectacular. Like we're this year we had Aaron and Sarah came up. That was great, but pretty much was our local Canadian guys, and that's what it was. We should definitely be seeing a much bigger influx for that race of people gunning for that series, and that will just be nothing but good for us. Like I said, I think too, I like the idea of the Mexico and the Canada added all in the States in one, as it gives it that flair of the whole North America. It makes it grander in my mind, makes it grander, makes it bigger. I do side with Mik too, like that is a big gap on that last, like 50, it's a long gap between races, but again, that might be to our benefit, because if they went with a shorter gap, we wouldn't have been involved. Right.
And is like North American championships, like, is there still going to be, or is this is a series, but are they going to have like Tahoe just randomly in there, or I think, is it going to have value?
Yeah, I think they're still going to have like a North American championship like they always do, and then a world championship, which we're under the impression should probably be back in UAE somewhere.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing, probably not the same venue, but same kind of deal. So they're still going to have those. It just, this is just like, this would be replacing what would be your regular U.S. National Series. And then we would normally have a Canadian series. I don't know if they had a Mexican series or not, but you guys? No.
Not sure. I just always, like, you really only heard of like 2 or 3 names from there. Yeah. And the ones that really did well there would do consistently well there. And then they would come up for 1 or 2 big races in the US, like later in the season. So, I mean, that would be awesome to see some like random athletes even from Canada or Mexico, where like they jump into other races and all of a sudden a few new faces come on.
Yeah. And okay, from a personal note, go ahead, Bassar.
Are we looking at 3 series now? So we have the North American, and then the US, and then the Canadian series.
No.
And a resounding
maybe.
So
listen, I get my information from Dave, and sources tell me.
So apparently this is what's happening now. And when I first heard this, I was like, oh, this is terrible. Because I assumed they were going to do one of the things that I'm saying, please, God, do not do. But luckily, it does not quite seem that way. Okay. So what was the U.S. National Series has been converted to an age group series. So that would be for your U.S. National one. So hold on here, because I have to look at my notes of this, because I do not got it all right. So Jacksonville, Florida would have normally been your U.S. National Series race. And it still is, but it is focused for the age group series alone. All right. So that race, there will still be elites racing. There'll still be an elite wave, but they will compete for your regular Spartan prize purse, which I'm correct me if I'm probably 532 or 5251, whatever that is.
Right.
So it'll just be your standard Spartan prize purse is what they'll be competing for. And then this will be like I said, the series will be age group. So there'll be a sprint in Jacksonville, Florida for the U.S. National age group. Then again at SLO, and so it'll be a crossover there. So you'll still have your North American series there, but you'll also have your age group series there. That'll be the beast there for them. Big Bear as well will be a super, Utah a beast, and then Asheville a sprint. So that will be the US National Series age group. And the big thing that everybody had the question, and the thing that was my great fear, was that they were going to give money to the winners of the age group races, and they are not.
Right. Because then the elites
So
would
it's
just start running age group.
Exactly.
There's a point series to it, and like an overall winner of like the series, but that's kind of, they're putting value on the competition of it.
Yes, putting value on the competition. I mean, you'll probably get a nice trophy at the end, but no cash payouts or anything like that. I think they said something.
Sponsor, probably stuff from all the sponsors.
Yeah, you might get a little bit of swag from a sponsor or something like that, but it is not going to be a cash payout, because we, like I said, the great fear is that is encouraging more sandbagging, right? More people dropping back down. Yes, my great.
So all those age group athletes that rightfully deserve to race elite, like they're putting up times where they would have been in the mix for in a less dense field, like top 5, whatever, and we're getting on them and saying, hey, like you got to move up, like it's time to move up, like this is good, you're gonna get better here, like you've already kind of done this, prove that you rightfully like deserve all the success in age group, but like, come give it a shot, come do this. Do you think a lot of them are like, oh, this is exciting again, like I'm gonna stick this out? And it's kind of a cool way to like battle it out with everyone, that they like, when you go to a race, who the other athletes are in your age group that you're generally going to be competing in. So this almost is like the series to kind of, finish things off as like a thing, which is kind of cool. But did we lose all those people that were like, this year I'm going to move up to elite? And
I think you may lose some of them. I think that some that were considering jumping up may still hang back for the sake of trying to get a series. Again, I mean, I think that kind of sucks, because I want to see more people jump up and do elite that are qualified. I think that's the whole point of that, that gated elite wave is, so that you qualify. It's important. It's impressive. You did it. You did what you need to do. Go race elite. This may halt that a little bit and pull some guys back and some girls back. I hope it doesn't. Like I said, I don't think that's their intent whatsoever. I know they want better elite fields. I think the one step further that I would have went, and I know it sounds so silly and so like cheesy that it would even work. If you make the elite medals different than everybody else's, then all of a sudden, me qualifying to run elite, just barely, but I did. And then I run my elite race, and you won age group, but I have my elite medal.
It's like kind of,
but I think it would actually make a difference. I mean, how many people are medal whores in this sport? Like, there's so many. I'm not saying it is adult. I mean, people dig them, right? They go for it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
People travel all over for an ultra belt buckle. Like,
and you know what? Now that it's become like more like, it'll be a lot of hype around the race, like a lot of people there for age group, because it's a large field. But maybe someone decides to run elite, and all of a sudden they're competing for that, prize money. But maybe a lot of the top, at this point though, you're always going to get a couple top guys and girls just out as like a training race, or kind of a, come out of injury, just kind of knock the dust off. And so you could see that too. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens with it. And if anyone just decides to jump into the series.
Who knows? Soon as it is a lot of travel to do the whole series, though.
Yeah.
If you're not interested in winning it and stuff like that. So I think what you could see is maybe some, let's just say for argument's sake, you go to Asheville, someone close to there who's like a, maybe top 20 elite, top 25 elite, decides, well, you know what, I'm gonna run age group for a little bit of flair and fanfare and get my podium. That could maybe mess up the occasional, podium here and there. But as far as chasing the whole series, that same person's probably not going to follow the whole series around to try to win the podium.
Totally. Yeah, or they'll probably be like, well, a lot of other people are doing the whole age group series. The people that sometimes jump in elite, sometimes do age group, depending on the race.
Mhm.
A lot of those people will just do age group. So, I mean, there may be some podiums open. I don't know. I have no idea. It's going to be interesting.
No, and I don't think they do. I think, Spartan, they had an idea, and it's a decent idea, and they said, let's go with it. Let's do what we do. I mean, I'm on record as saying I think this is maybe a year early.
Is there not a point series already for age group?
Yes.
So they just created official races for the series, not just overall.
No, it's a little more attention. It's a little more, and the age group, and let's be honest, like the age group in the open are what pay the way for the sport to exist, right? Without the age group in the open, the elite doesn't exist, because it just, I mean, what are you talking? 5 to 10% of the signups are elite. So I think this is just Spartan's way, and of saying, hey, we know you guys are the people that butter the bread here. Let's give you a little attention and put forward a little extra effort into what you guys bring. And so in that way, it's a good thing.
Well, and something else that it's doing is it's bringing more people to these certain events. So these events, these 5 or 6 events, are just going to be bigger overall, because there's so many Spartan races throughout the year. So like these ones can be their big money makers, where we just get a little bit more people at them. They're a bigger showcase. Maybe there can be more media or something, and they can throw a little bit more into these certain events. So it's just kind of throwing a little bit more resources, focusing them in 5 races in the year, 6 races.
Yeah. So I'm like I said, when they first announced this stuff, Mike, like I said, the great fear was they were going to throw money at age group, and I was just going to be off my rocker. But they didn't, and good for them. So
what do you think the age group people? Well, I mean, you're a good advocate for it. So, but like, do you think? What do you think the majority of age groupers that were excited about a series, and then they hear there's no prize money? Do you think there's going to be a bit of negative to that?
I think some will be disappointed, because I don't think they all share my opinion, because I think a lot of people want to get on the podium and win some money.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas my view is more to promote the elite field and make the sport go further, rather than just, collect $100.
Would you do it for a sweater?
Ooh,
yes.
A hoodie? Or just like
I'd do the whole series for a sweater. Yeah.
A hoodie. Yes.
A hoodie, yeah. Well, I'll do just about anything for a hoodie.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I think, but again, I still say the same thing. If elite had a different medal, and again, sounds cheesy, I'd run elite.
Yeah.
I get smoked, but I earned my way there, and I got my elite medal, right? It sounds childish, but it's true. And I know that I'm not alone on that. I know a lot of other people would do that stuff too.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think it's not bad. I think it'll be good for. What's that?
Are they doing it in Canada as well? Or are they setting like an age group series? Are you getting that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's exactly where we're going next. Is yes, they are doing it in Canada as well. Beth, can you still hear us? I know you're having a little video issue there. Beth took a walk. Oh, okay. You still here? Okay. So yeah, they are doing it in Canada as well. It will be a 3-race age group series in Canada, which will consist of red deer.
I'm getting my sweater.
You're not allowed to win age group, Mik. I'm not worried. You're going to get disqualified.
New year, new me. I'm all about that.
So yeah, it'll be red deer, the Quebec race, which still is TBD as far as the venue. And we'll finish up in Blue Mountain. So again, making Blue Mountain even more.
Yeah.
Like that is going to be a hell of a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so the question is, will I pony up the dough to go out to red deer? Because
yes.
Quebec and blue. I mean, that's easy. That's easy. So we'll see. We'll see what the
now that series, in terms of just looking at a series in itself. Let's say Quebec's like, I mean, you look at the venues there. Let's say it goes, Quebec would start, right? So it'd be.
Yeah, because
could potentially be a sprint. There will be a sprint there as an option. Could be sprint super beast, or it could go super beast. And all 3 of those venues will be kind of all together. All the parts together is a very balanced racing spectrum. So I don't mind that as like just the overall theme of the series and the venues. If you're looking at, I mean, we don't know the Quebec one, but we know the 2 or 3 options.
Well, Quebec could be back on a big mountain, like Quebec,
right?
Owl's Head.
when is Quebec never on a mountain?
Yeah,
right.
Like, has anyone been to any kind of OCR race in Quebec that was not on the side of a mountain?
Yeah, I guess if it's a super distance, it's going to be a little less of just like a hike fest potentially.
Yeah.
Like I know some of the ones out there that were supers have still been not super long courses in terms of like times and everything. So yeah.
But yeah, and the one thing that it does, like you say, Red Deer throws a completely different wrench in it, where they have that flat, fast course, but also a good venue like that. Obviously, venue has proven time and time again to be a good one.
Yeah.
And then back at Blue. The only downside, and you just made me realize it now, is that they're going to be different distances. They're not all sprints, so that's wrong.
I mean, yeah, I feel like you'll be able to work up to it by October. Like it's one of those things that
a question more for actually, and this is what I really want to know from your guys' perspective, because you guys are both the elite racers, is so now where I know both of you had, Canadian series in your mind for a goal for this year. Now that's out the window, right? So now and obviously this is brand new news. So is a North American series, is that something you can do? I mean, I know with everybody's schedule, that becomes a lot more difficult now. You're looking at more races. So how does that affect your initial mindset for the season?
Yeah, I guess I haven't wrapped my head around that because this is all new news to me. Because again, my goal was the Canadian National Series this year. And again, with where we are right now, like we're back in lockdown. So everything again depends on borders. So, which always makes me nervous to plan too much for travel. But yeah, I don't know those are some pretty far away places from where we are. I don't know if I'll be able to make that work.
What about you, Mik?
Well, in terms of North American, like looking at the venues and everything, that's basically for where I live. Like that's pure dedication to even be competitive. Mm-hmm. And then also you just throw altitude in a few of them. And the travel dates, like, yes, as a teacher, you have lots of freedom at certain points, but you don't have that much freedom to just change, leave go over the border and whatever else. So I think it does change things, but ultimately, like, what do I race for? I race for good competition, and you're still going to find that at and I love racing in Canada and against the competition here and everything. And then if, let's say, Blue ends it and there's a deep field and whatever else, then that might be where it goes. But in terms of the North American one, like this year, and like Bethany said, it's so hard right now when you're just like, you're so used to not fully committing to things anymore. It's just, it's like, yeah, stay ready, stay prepared, think about the things you want to do, but also like you have this little thing in the back of your mind, like you need to pretend it's all happening, but when it comes down to it, it's hard to really fully commit to it to start, right? So
do you think that's going to be a common feeling throughout the elite field, or do you think people who normally compete in the US National Series would be like, all right, so really there's one in Canada, there's one in Mexico? Other than that,
I think it's
much different for that.
I think in the US it might be a little different. Like you'd see most of the guys that do the US series just commit to it, right? Especially if the prize money's better than what it was. I mean, it was pretty good last year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They probably just took all the Canadian series money and put it just into that.
I'm sure they did do that. Like, I'm sure that
right?
That's kind of the point. Yeah.
I mean, our series did have, that was pretty substantial. It was great, and for 2 races, all things said and done. So, Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who commits to that in terms of Canadian athletes. It has to be someone that has quite a bit of freedom to travel.
Right.
And then at the same time, like, what are the payouts and everything? But you see these 5-race series and everything, and you see people get injured and you see people start doing well or whatever else. But things happen in a series, and if you really just commit to it, you have those guys that are finishing, you know, maybe their best finish is like a 5th, 6th, whatever. But then all of a sudden we get to Blue Mountain and they're the only one that has 4 races under their belt compared to like the other 2 or 3 close ones, and all of a sudden they move into 4th overall for the payout or something. So I'm not sure how deep it will be in terms of like pure North American, but I think it's gonna be a popular series.
And it also depends, how deep does the prize money go for each of these races? Like, is it top 3? If we're looking at top 10, then a lot more people can assume they might make a little bit of money to help offset.
I'm sure they'll do top 10 again. I don't think anyone had a problem with top 10, especially now that the fields are like, you know, rightfully so. There's so many guys who, like, so many spots between, let's say, 4 to 15 that can kind of like change based on the venue, change based on, and if the whole women's field starts, like, comes back and it's going to be just like that. If anything, it's a deeper field in that space too. So it'll be interesting.
I think on the flip side, normally where I would look at it is, and if I look at that age group one, people competing will want to do that age group series in the States are going to have a heck of a lot of travel as well, like, because you're pretty much following the old US National Series. So that's a lot of travel. Whereas actually us to do the Canadian one, if you're in like the Ontario area, it's pretty easy. I mean, you go to Red Deer and then you just took it back and did Blue Mountain. So it's not too bad. So it's kind of interesting that way. We almost seem to have the easier one that for a change that way.
It makes sense though. It's nice that they have kind of, and it's spread out again. It's really, you know, so gives people time to do a few other races and stuff.
It's interesting. We have no races in BC or Alberta.
No, we do.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just not part of the series.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yes,
oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely, you've been way too focused on box jumps and all this other stuff. Come on.
I'm just in high rocks mode right now. I'm trying to build up the courage.
The biggest venue announcement is out in BC. Do you know which one it is?
Whistler?
No.
Kelowna.
Oh yeah. Okay, I saw
You're gonna get kicked off the pro team, Bethany.
Oh no.
Edit that part out.
Well, we know I don't know how to do that, so.
Yeah, well, there's been no news on the pro team either, so
Kelowna will be
saying anything.
Yeah. That's actually
big white.
That's a question there. Just quickly, did they send out any messages for pro teams or anything like that yet? I mean,
so it's been really quiet. The person that was obviously in Canada, like, people in certain positions wear different hats, but there was someone who did many different things on top of also working with the pro team here. And again, pro team is very like loose term, but yeah, it was actually very good. Like we had good interactions. We kind of had like calls. We haven't really heard much yet, but at the same time, there was a thing like, hey, let's all catch up in the new year kind of thing. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, from the outside looking in, the Spartan Canada really seemed to have their pro team a lot more squared away than they did down in the States for last year, right?
Right.
States really didn't exist. This in Canada, we still had that roster. They still announced a roster. I mean, it was all.
I think the contracts were a big issue in the States, though, because they actually had contracts. Like, we don't really.
Well, you don't, Bethany. You don't know. Somebody else might have a huge.
Right, maybe Mik does, and he's just.
I got my hoodie. That was part of my contract. That's all I asked for. Yeah, so if we want to look at the series just very quickly, just so Bethany understands, right?
It'd probably be a good idea. Mik, you let her know. Why don't you
Yeah, and you say which one is an age group series,
okay,
and also whatever. So first one, early May 14th is Toronto.
So, and that'd be Toronto. That's at Brimacombe,
right?
So that'll be a super sprint weekend, and that is not part of any series. That's just your regular super sprint.
Start off.
Could still be snow. We'll have an elite field, and we'll have prize money for the elite field, but it will just be your standard Spartan prize money.
Yeah. Then you get the long weekend, and then the next weekend after that is Ontario, Calabogie.
Yeah, so the Ottawa area. Yeah. So
and then
and that's not part of the series. Not part of the series.
Right. Then they have their tentative announcement in June. That would be the Quebec one. We don't know a date or venue, but that would be part of the age group series.
Yeah. And
potentially a trifecta weekend with the beast distance.
I do not know. I can't say. I think my understanding, though, is part of the series that will probably be the sprint race as part of the series. Yeah. But I don't know at all what race, if it'll be a super or a sprint and a super. Or
I guess they try to have at least one beast out east and west.
Yeah.
So I guess you got to count Blue Mountain. I'm just so far away. But then after June, in July 23rd weekend is Red Deer.
Mm-hmm.
That's age group.
That's part of the age group, and I believe that
Sprint Super.
Yeah, Sprint Super weekend.
Yeah. And then end of August 28th weekend is Big White, Kelowna.
Have you ever been out there?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either. I don't know it at all. I know Kelowna is a nice place, but I've never seen that venue or whatever. And my understanding is it's really going to be a good venue.
I think so, and there's lots set up around it. So hopefully, I know there's some really good mountain biking there too. So,
and something else I found out that Swoop Airlines, for those of you in the Ontario area, flies straight out of Hamilton straight into Kelowna.
Awesome.
So you don't have to fly into Victoria or Vancouver or whatever, and then get you can fly straight into Kelowna, which that's a big deal. And I don't think they're super expensive if you look on them. Awesome. And by the way, Swoop, yes, you can sponsor us. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Free flights. What do we got? End of August, then September is Blue Mountain in October, 22nd, 23rd or something.
Yeah, that big weekend.
Whenever this, and that's like the North American and final race of the North American Championship and age group championship and
everything.
Canadian age group, or it's just
Canadian age group. So that's just the Canadian age group and the North American Elite Series.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
That should be just an absolutely massive event, and definitely a grand send off for the season for Canada. Anyway, I was looking forward to that before. Now I think it's going to be even better. Just amazing.
And this year now too, hopefully they'll be able to use more of the village. Like last year, it was so off to the side because of COVID. They couldn't use the village, so it'll be even better this year if that's all allowed.
Yeah. I think they'll make their way over it. And again, depending on the climate of the situation that we're in, we'll see how much they can go in there. But if they're able to use it the way OCRWC was in 2017, that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely became much more of a highlight for me to look forward to for this year. I really think that'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there's going to be any weird things from the announcement where we think it's how it is and everything, and then there's going to be some kind of questionable thing where something about the series or something about the age group thing that's going to throw things off?
I don't know.
Or do you think it's solid? Yeah.
I think, the one thing still yet that I do not know. I do not know what the prize money will be. So that is still yet to be, I don't know, released or determined. We don't know that yet. Hopefully that will come soon. And the other thing we don't know is, so we don't know the Quebec venue. And I think that will play a big difference too. Like that'll be important. But I'm really glad they are going to Quebec, because Quebec is just such an awesome OCR community that they need it. They deserve it. They're great people. So I don't know. I don't think there's going to be anything that beyond what we're dealing with here. I think it should be fairly straightforward. I don't know. It's straightforward as we get anyway.
Yeah.
Like, are you expecting disaster? Do you think something crazy is coming other than this? I think this is enough.
I think the thing that we'll just see is more like elite. Let's say everything's opened up by then.
Yeah.
I think we'll still see small elite fields in Canada, except for blue. But I think we'll see a lot of hype around age group regardless, which would be cool. It still makes the venue exciting. It still offers really good racing. Like, it doesn't, it's all good. I just think that's going to take a hit.
Yeah. So you think you kind of think same worry as I, that it'll actually hit the elite field a bit, and rather than grow it, will actually draw it back a bit.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what's the most growing population right now in OCR are people who have gotten into it or done a few and done pretty well in open and tried age group and realized, oh, okay, I'm not that far away, and then decide to take their training seriously. There's a huge group of those people that are like, have done age group once or twice and now want to take age group seriously, like want to train and want to podium in age group. It's like, you can attain that, you can train for it, you can it's got, hey, there you go.
Loves it.
It's not.
Why aren't you wearing that?
This isn't even mine.
It's not yours.
Mine.
No, it's not. It's Lexi's. Lexi, we still got to give you your medal. It's just been sitting up here.
Oh man.
I stole it.
I can't.
I stole it.
I have nothing in reach right now to throw in front of you right now. But that's funny. But I think that's like a huge growing population, is people that want to compete, want to actually like have really purposeful training and want to like get to the next level. And to that level is an age group podium. And then it's a consistent age group podium, because sometimes you can get an age group podium and you were just like, I signed up for age group. My friends kind of told me I was pretty fit, but you don't really know the depth of how good some age groupers are until you've been at like the competitive races. So I think that's going to keep growing. I think that kind of population is going to really do well for Spartan.
And I think Spartan thinks so too, and that's why they've done this. That's why they've thrown more attention to the age group, because, like I say, you guys are paying the bills. Here's a little thank you.
So
and
maybe
really
they
into
could
it.
use it also, like we've said before, where they could start encouraging certain age groupers to be moving up to elite. So maybe after this year, you can say everybody in the series who was top 10 in their age group series, we kindly recommend you move up to elite.
Or just accidentally register them for elite. Yeah. Not kindly recommend.
You know what you could do, actually, and you just gave me this thought here. So I was going to say two things. One, Jack Bauer actually said this a long time, probably a year and a half ago to me. He said what they should be doing is, when you've attained a certain status in age group or whatever, when they send you, because you always get these emails from Spartan, congratulations, you qualified for this. Yeah. Congratulations, you qualified for this. Congratulations, you qualified for this. We recommend you run elite. Mm-hmm. Just a little nudge there. And I thought that was a great idea. And I mean, it doesn't happen. They don't have to do it, but it's a little nudge and, a little shot to, hey, we believe you're good enough. So not just did you qualify, but we believe you're good enough to do it. Mm-hmm. But where you were saying, so what the other thing that made me think of this just right now, Bethany, was, let's just say you finish top 10 in your age group in the series. Well, when you qualify now and you have to get that EQ card or whatever, you have to pay that $35 or whatever the case may be. Spartan can just say, hey, you were top 10 there. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you that for free. So we encourage you to run elite and along that kind of line. So you just get that little bump again where, now you don't even have to worry about that little fee. You're good to go, and it costs you the same as before. So.
And then you're building the elite field, and then it kind of brings in the next crop for the age group podium stuff.
Yeah.
In a different medal.
And a different
You know, it only costs like $80 to get that different metal thing cased, right? And then it's the same price as the other ones. So just saying, it's a good idea.
Good idea. It's a good idea.
I do like it.
You can have my elite medal if you still want to run age group, Dave. I'll give you my.
No, I will actually run. I will earn it because I've earned my spot, Nick.
Okay.
I have somebody's podium medal here, so I've earned a spot.
Podium medal.
Yeah, that's what that one is. That's a second age group winner for female 30 to 35.
Age groupers have nice.
What's that?
If your podium explanation has to have like 10 sentences to it.
Yeah. Where is it? See there. 30 to 34.
Nice.
Which is not me.
That's cool. It's cool.
They're nice.
They're nice little medals. I mean, I do actually have mine downstairs. But anyway. So yeah, final thoughts. Good idea, bad idea. Good move by Spartan, bad move by Spartan. Beth.
The North American series, I think I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it will work okay as long as borders are open, and it's going to be harder for people in Mexico and Canada in general. But hopefully the prize money is enticing enough, and we'll see how it goes. The age group thing, I think it's a good opportunity for people. It could end up being a good thing.
Just before we go on, so even the thought before, because really that North American series is technically replacing the U.S. National Series, which not a lot of Canadians went to anyway. So from Spartan's perspective, it's probably just a wash on that side. I mean, I think honestly, from both of your perspective, it kind of sucks because of, you know, the travel problems and the previous ideas for your seasons. So I know that that's difficult, but I think that might be the way Spartan views it as well. You know, they weren't really coming down that many of them for that series anyway.
Yeah, so, but our borders were closed.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, Mik, what do you think?
I agree with you saying like they're probably a year too early. I think it would be better to just have another really good national series in each of those and have a really good venue for North American championships again, and kind of go like that. I don't see why they couldn't maybe like have a Canadian series. Maybe you don't have the winner of the series like a prize money that much, but put more weight on 3 of the races and still have a point series to it. And at least and sure, Blue Mountain could still be part of the North American one, but it could also be part of the final Canadian one. And then you just also have the game within the game kind of thing. And I don't think that's that hard to do. Just kind of keep the prize money for the podium's sake and the points the same. But maybe if you don't have as much to give, don't make the overall series like that substantial. And then at least it gives us a chance to do that. So I think it's going to be very interesting. Like people, I love those people when Spartan announces anything on age group and people start commenting and everything, and people put the little popcorn emojis. I think there's going to be lots of interesting conversations to be had. Regardless, like everyone has their own opinions and everyone's just excited about the sport and in general. So yeah, it'll be good, but it'll add for some more entertainment between everything.
And you know, that's why Spartan did it that way. Like I guarantee they're like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Christmas Eve, we're going to release this announcement, really not give any information out.
Right.
And just let them all sit on it until the new year comes.
Yeah.
Just to freak all of us keyboard warriors out, you know, let's let them go wild. Let's see what they come up with.
All the speculations.
That's right. Let's see how angry you get. I think good idea. I hope that we are wrong. I hope that the year early doesn't matter and that it goes off really well. I mean, yes, I maybe believe that way, but I would like to be wrong about that. I'd like it to succeed massively. Time will tell.
Yeah, Mik Gerylo, 2022 podium age group champion. I see it in my future.
Awesome. So we'll go through a few other things. I think we've talked about a few other things, and we said this week we released our Team OFX, and it's an amazing group with you two, Dylan Scott, Aaron Newell, Heather White. Oh my God, who else are we forgetting here? Joshua McCandless. By the way, Josh is absolutely amazing. Have you seen his stuff? Like, that kid is a monster. He's going to be
like his Ninja Warrior stuff, or
Yeah.
I can't even really comprehend it all, right? Because you just like, if you're not totally exposed to those exact
He just flies.
obstacles, it's crazy. Yeah,
I've seen him
really cool.
since he was like 14, and he
Wow.
just
Shows, yeah.
Pardon? Oh yeah, and Brendan Neely. So again, and I told Matt, I said we have a team of bucket throwers and obstacle skirters and injuries, so we're great. We're going to be awesome.
We're the most feared, but we're all getting DQ'd.
So I just wanted to touch on that quickly and say, well, thank you all for getting on board, and we're going to have great fun. We're going to have a good year. So originally, this show was going to be about kind of our year end, because we've been on Bethany for a year, pretty much almost to the day, much to our own surprise. So I was, what's that?
It flew by.
It did, and somehow we managed to fit more than 52 shows in a year, but that's okay. And I didn't do the math wrong. It worked out right. But I thought we'll go through some things really quickly. We were going to do the whole show, but let's just go through stuff. So I wanted to hit on, let's see what you guys would think, who the breakout star of the year was. So who do you think, kind of like, not necessarily, actually, you know what? Let's do it. Yeah, let's go the other way. Let's do rookie of the year first. Who was your rookie of the year? Who do you think jumped on the scene in OCR and was like their best first year out?
Are we talking about like Canada or just like
all across can
be
everything, and that's hybrid or OCR. Just who you think about it.
So this is including hybrid racing?
Yep.
Oh, Rachel
Vondrak?
Yeah.
So what do you remember what she did what she got through this year? Everything pretty much, because she only started this year. But yeah, she won that Dallas Invitational. She was second at third at the US one, and then second at Worlds. So that's pretty good. What about you, Mik?
And got an invite to the Spartan games, but then got uninvited.
Ow. So would you say she would have won that?
I would say breakout was Emma this year. I think
Emma, yeah.
I think in general, like maybe she didn't quite have the finale like finishes, but I all think people noticed, like racers racing against her noticed what she can do, and just with a bit more experience, it's not even fitness, it's just like a bit of understanding racing and the rules of certain obstacles and just certain things. But I think she had a really big year and like dominated a few races. So I think
almost podiumed at Worlds, right? And then that last obstacle was like a 4-minute run penalty, which took her off the podium. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like there were a couple things like that where it was like she could have been on more people's radar and came up more often, but she was like those one or two little things that you just get from your first season. But I still think it was a kind of a good breakout season.
Yeah.
And those were actually the two people I had on my list too. So I'll declare that a complete tie, because I love them both and they're fantastic and have been so nice. And that's the other thing too. Like they're super nice people too. They're just amazing. Both of them. So that was who I had for rookie there. But the other one, so I was for rookie. For breakout star though, breakout star could be someone that has already been on the scene but really jumped up. And I'll give you a few names that I had for that. Annie Doobie, Chris Rogloski, Hawk Call, some names like that just came out, or Dylan Scott, are people that came on the scene, maybe have already been around for a bit, but just took that next jump.
Chris Rogloski is who came to my mind with her season. Like she podiumed at OCR Worlds. Again, she was at Spartan Games, and she's done super well at all DECA events. She would be my breakout.
Savage races too.
Yep, Savage. She's podium in Savage races all over the place. She races a lot also. and she does, she's doing 50 milers, she's doing the ultra stuff. So she's kind of hitting everything.
What do you think, Mik?
I would say Logan Broadbent. I've had some races with him, and like at OCR Worlds, actually in like the UK, we were super close to each other, and that's the first time I've raced him. That was a few years ago for sure. And you know, he's always kind of had that fitness and he's been there. But if you think about like break that next stage, to be like to beat VJ at Indian Mud Run and to get podiums at National Series, and you know, then it wasn't just like the course was good for him or this was good for him. It was almost like, oh, he had this crazy event and he traveled around and he did this, and then he showed up and still actually did really well or surprised people. So I think he kind of broke into that next stage, and so I'll give it to him for sure.
He showed it at OCRWC too as well. He had a really great performance there. The only thing missing was he didn't quite have the day he could have had at Worlds, at Spartan Worlds in Abu Dhabi. He had a bit of a rough one there, and he was very sick and he had traveled everywhere. So I mean, you know, you can't have a great day every day. So but sad, but that
I think he's going to race. I think he may race a little less next year.
Yeah.
And do well.
So for me, one of the ones that really jumped out right away was Annie Doobie, because I mean, Annie essentially, you know, second at World Championship. She was always there pushing for at the U.S. National Series. She seemed, whereas Chris Rogloski did everything and was great everywhere, Annie seemed a lot more laser focused. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to be. And she really honed in, and she went from someone who, you know, was good to someone who is legit contender. And next year is probably one of your front runner contenders for that North American Series. So she was great. Yeah. And with an honorable mention to Dylan Scott, because he just trains like a crazy bugger, and he came out of nowhere with his High Rocks performances. Yeah. And, you know, has been consistently good everywhere he went. Mm-hmm. So, and plus he's Team OPEC, so that's great. All right, this one's a little bit different. So this is the pass of the year. All right, and I'll give you three options. And if you think of a different one, you can. So VJ over Ryan Atkins at Big Bear for the U.S. National Series, which not only gave him the win of the race, but the win of the series. Kempson over Logan at OCRWC on Pendulum. Yeah, so Logan was on there. Kempson came flying through. It was a gorgeous pass. Lindsay over Annie and the final 400-meter sprint at Asheville at the end of the race. You can throw in another one if you want, if you thought, but those are the three passes I just stuck out of my mind, that these were really great passes.
Oh, they're all so good.
I'd say BJ's was the most surprising. Like, the other ones were cool to see, mm-hmm. but when you saw them, you weren't like when you saw them, you kind of were like, okay, like, amazing. You had to work for that. You had to do that. But we kind of knew those athletes could do that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think anyone would expect VJ to have taken over Ryan on a bucket carry in the final bit of a race. So as far as like expectations, yeah. The finesse though of Ryan taking over on that obstacle was like just super shocking. Like, I watched that on repeat because I loved it. But I would agree with you though, Mik, on that one.
The other one for me, I would say as well, VJ over Ryan, just because of what was at stake. And again, that was a race that going into it, yes, they each had the equal shot to win, but that would have been one where Ryan was favored. It was more his style of race. It was more mountainous. And like you say, VJ passed him at the least expected area on a bucket carry near the end, and raced a very, very smart race. Like, he just did. So I went with that. But yeah, Kempson's pass over Logan was just exciting. Just cool. Great technique. And Lindsay beating Annie, the only reason I throw that in there is because I remember watching that, and when it was a sprint to the finish, I thought, you know, if Annie's going to take Lindsay anywhere, I thought this would be it, you know. And then
was that in Asheville?
Yeah, it was in Asheville. Yeah.
Okay.
They had like a nice, it was almost like a 400-meter sprint after the last obstacle to finish.
Super flat.
Yeah. And I was like, it just showed again that Lindsay just does everything. You know,
Yeah.
she just, you can never kind of.
You know what? In Asheville, there was also that really good pass where there was those 3 guys battling for the third spot, right? And then all of a sudden, or sorry, for second and third.
Yeah.
And one of them wasn't going to make it. Like someone was going to get fourth, and they were all on the helix, and then they were coming around, and they didn't have all the footage. Like you don't see where the pass happened, but then you see Chris Brown. And in all cases, like he was pretty far ahead once he got to the fire, you know. So you didn't really see the pass, but that was a pretty interesting final too. So we need to stop putting that sketchy aluminum slip wall at the very end of races. Like let's let people outkick each other like that. That's better racing. And why does everyone
down
finish
that
a
thing
race?
is so sketchy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
You're like, at what point
I've
are
like
you
debated
risk jumping?
I've debated like finding the pillar on the end and just sitting on it and like sliding down. But then I think the rungs protrude up.
What if
Like,
there's
I don't
like a
think it would
random
be
bolt still sticking up, you know? You might want to have kids one day, Mik.
Yeah, I would. So anyways, that would be, I don't know, maybe that's skirting the obstacle too. I'm not sure. I don't want to best pass of the year, passing the final mud pit in Red Deer.
You know what though? It is a good point. I mean, that obstacle it's a fine obstacle, right? It's not like anyone's going to fail it, but it's a good obstacle. It's like an 8-foot wall or something. But yeah, maybe throw that somewhere else in the course to encourage those finishes that you guys are talking about.
Like, you know, when people finish the race and they're like, oh, you know, I don't feel like I left it all out there. It's like, well, you kind of got your heart rate down. You were kind of climbing on helix. Then you had 5 steps to the slip wall, and the slip wall, to go down it, you got to be careful. So you're kind of just like half crab walking, and then you're not racing the finish because no one's going faster down that than other people necessarily. Like you're not making up tons of time.
Yeah.
So by that time your heart rate's gone down a little bit. Anyway.
I think you're right. And even at Blue, they had the helix, and then it was maybe like 150 meters to the final, but you had the slip wall in the middle. If you had just taken that out, that could have made some really good finishes.
Totally.
That haul and right to the end coming off helix, and as much
but
as
kind of cool how
go ahead.
We're talking about the best finish was a bucket carry into a barbed wire into whatever, or it was helix into basically like, I don't know, 400 meters, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like those are the 2 best finishes, and there was no slip ramp at the end for both of them. So
it's a solid point.
Yeah. I don't know, but the other one wasn't at the end, but
no. So, but it'd be good. It'd be good. I wonder if we'll see some different course designs this year. Would be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is a different one. Biggest upset of the year. All right. So these are the 3 I have. Nicole's injury at Hildervat. Hunter losing at High Rocks Worlds, or Mik and Brennan's DQ in Red Deer. Mik, what do you think?
I don't know. I was pretty sold on your second one. I think I'll just stick with that one. Yeah, I think that's the most valid one for sure. I know obviously you add travel that way and whatever, and the fact that he was doing other things. Like, I mean, you can throw out a million reasons why someone gets dethroned, let's say. And eventually it's going to happen, but he was so dominant, like for many times. So I think that was a big one. So
the fact that he went over there and so we have seen him though go over there and win before, but the fact that he didn't even podium was, to me, what really got it, really started home. Like, wow, it just, again, one of those would have lost the farm on that one. You know, nobody saw it coming. I don't think there was a single person who did not pick Hunter to win that and win it not with ease, but comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that was the same. The other ones were horrible events, and obviously the DQ and Red Deer, though, I tell you, we got like that got a lot of traction. There was
it was a little ridiculous.
There was
it
a
was
lot of
probably one of the most talked about events still in Canadian in OCR.
That was my one race of the year. That was great. Yeah.
7th is pretty good.
Yeah, I still haven't seen the money from that. I think I forgot to register for it though.
They've taken that money and added it to next year's North American series.
The age group sweater.
So Beth, you too, the High Rocks for Hunter?
Yeah, that would be the biggest upset for sure. Yeah.
It just was too big. All right, so the last one I have here is, well, okay, might not be the last one, but I call this the call your shot of the year. All right. VJ, the OCRWC 3K, called it all year. Atkins, Spartan Worlds in Abu Dhabi, or Hunter at every High Rocks but Worlds.
Are you saying
so,
call your
so
shot?
we're yeah.
So call your shot.
This.
Yeah.
VJ said all year, I'm going to win the OCRWC 3K, and he went
right.
out. Atkins said, I am going to go over to Dubai and I'm going to win my world championship finally. And he did it. And Hunter won every High Rocks race, well, except Worlds. So these are the guys that said, I'm going to do this. And I went out and did it. So which one was the most impressive call your shot?
Atkins.
I think his was the most difficult to probably secure.
Yeah. So Atkins. Now let me put one little wrinkle to it. What if Albin had been there for the OCRWC 3K and VJ still won? Does that change that?
I don't know. I still think he always had a chance in the 3K, even against Albin, right? Like, I don't think anyone's mind blown if he wins that against Albin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I say Atkins the way it is, but if Albin was there, I would have gave it to VJ because Albin's unbeaten at that. He's just that good at it. Whereas Atkins, I just always felt he was going to win one eventually.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's just crazy how good you can be, and it still all has to come together for you at the right time, the right things. Like you look at Ironman as a whole and those races, and guys say like sometimes it just you make the right move at the right time and the right person falls apart at the right time, or something happens, or the day is the day, and that's it. And you only really get a couple chances to even be in the mix. So, I mean, he's always in the mix. So like odds would put it, but I mean, you can't take anything from someone that can actually do that.
And there was times in that race where he wasn't even sure that he was going to win it too. And his lead had been taken over multiple times. So again, it's not like it was ever a for sure thing until he crossed the line.
So were you unanimous then at Atkins?
Yeah.
And the last one I was going to do, and I think we'll just, it's going to be pretty much another unanimous, just your race of the year, what you thought was the best race of the year. Anybody, Beth?
For ourselves or for like
no, overall. We know yours. You only did the one.
Well, and I did none, so.
So that means the best race of the year was my second place finish in age group.
Yes.
I did run. I did run. Actually, that's not true. I did Red Deer.
In a cast.
Best race was when I passed Bethany in Red Deer at the finish line in the Spartan sampler.
That's true.
I would say my favorite race to watch all year, like in terms of coverage and everything like that was Asheville. I don't know why, but I think it was like one of the most, like, I thought there was a lot of good athletes there. I thought it was like a good course at lots of different variations, and obviously it was nice to just see people like open up and run too. And yeah, I would say like when it comes to mind, like in terms of like what I liked watching the most, that was it.
Yeah, I did see that one coming. Beth?
I was super intrigued by watching everything with Abu Dhabi, and just how they were with the course and what it was going to look like. It's just such a super unique venue. So that one to me was probably the most interesting to watch. And again, there were so many athletes in the mix who I just didn't know because there was such a big European contingent there. Which again, and a lot of those people weren't coming over to North America this year. So the race itself just looked very different. So that one to me was probably the most exciting to watch.
I kind of hemmed a little bit back and forth on this for a bit because I actually really enjoyed. There was quite a few High Rocks races that I thought were so exciting to watch. And Worlds being obviously right up there with the upset of Hunter and Tobias coming through. But I still would go with Abu Dhabi as well, just for the sheer emotion at the end of the race from Atkins and Lindsay. And it was just, that was worth the price of admission for me. Yeah, so that would be it. And I think not only was that the race of the year, I think that might have ended up being the story of the year, other than COVID, but COVID stuff. So we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
What was your guys' favorite podcast to do this year?
Oh, this one. No.
This is next year. You can use this one for the next year.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
Like which one were you like, that was a really, like, one of the reasons why I got into podcasting, or like we both enjoyed it, or we were both like really on, and whether it was you two or just the guest or whatever. And if you guys both say the same one, then
That's such a good question.
I think honestly, I don't know if it'd be the one that I would call my favorite, but after Red Deer, with everything happened and the fact that we were able to
get mad on
help, to
oh yeah,
be a part of everything and to really, I don't want to say affect, yeah, to make a difference, right? To cause some good, that to me was really big. And we got such a lot of positive messages and feedback and stuff from that. So that one was really big for me. So I would say, I guess that one would be right up there. Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are doing some Canadian content. It's good. It's nice. I think if we have a full season again, I think people are going to appreciate it.
And I don't know, but what other ones come to your mind, Beth? Like there were some great people that we met and stuff.
Oh, I know. Like some that are memorable, just like talking to Leon Kofed, like has probably made me laugh the hardest.
Yeah.
The first one that we did with him. Yeah, and like we got to know some people, having them on a few times too, like Rachel and then and it's interesting the people that we've got to know through the podcast too that I never would have met.
Oh yeah. And like guys like David Magida and Dylan.
Yeah.
Aaron Newell is someone that I never would have expected to get along so well with, and the guy's just spectacular. Like, I mean, the guy kills me. But yeah, I think if I was to go back, for me, the ones that hit hardest the most, and maybe it is because of the Canadian content, was the Red Deer and as well Blue. All the stuff we did with Blue was just so important to me. So I would say in those ones there would be the best for me, or not best, but they're the ones that really stick out.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I think you know what, that's a great way to sign off. I got to get up early in the morning. So Beth, why don't you finish this up?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mik, for coming on and chatting about this season coming up. We're super excited, hopefully to have a full season. And yeah, see everybody out there.
Take care.